Hi there, my name is Aaron Short and welcome to my YouTube channel, and today I'm talking about Minuendo lossless earplugs. I'm playing gigs again, which is great, and I got called to play in a wedding band, a 10-piece wedding band, and I absolutely loved it. But I found that when I'm not running the sound myself, things can get out of control very quickly. No matter how good the sound engineers are, there's always that danger that the volume will be too loud, there'll be a sudden spike, the sax player will get into it and start playing really loud. And I was thinking to myself, I need to think about this very seriously. I do not want to damage my hearing. I was thinking about using my in-ear monitors, which I absolutely love for live streaming. That can also be dangerous because there's that risk that you'll turn them up too loud in your ears. That's another issue to talk about another day. But I was thinking about earplugs. I used them years ago. I had the custom-made ones, and they just kind of block out a lot of sound. I quite like them, especially going to watch bands play. I'd wear them. On stage, I found them a bit too isolating, and I never really gave them a chance. Well, right at that time, I was contacted by Minuendo about these earplugs, and I said, this is ideal. And I have a gig the following week, so if you can send me a pair, I can use them on stage. It worked out really well, and I'm going to tell you my thoughts on them. Also, my thoughts on protecting our hearing as musicians, I think is a very important, okay, not the most exciting, but important topic to discuss. I'll begin with a rundown and review of the product in case that's why you're here. And then in the second half of this video, I'll talk about my thoughts on hearing protection. So this is what the box looks like. It's packaged very well. The price is great. It's well under $200. I don't like to give exact numbers on here because prices are changing all the time, especially these days. But I'll put a link below to some places you can buy them. They may or may not be affiliate links. I'll indicate that below. But this is the package. It looks really, really nice. And you open it up, and inside you get a lot of ear tips. And my tip for your ear tips is to use the foam ones to begin with. I say this because I've read this from other users and even with my inner monitors. I find the foam ones the most forgiving, and it's a bit daunting at first to go through all of these different ear tips. For example, you have the foam ones here of different sizes. You have these kind of silicone ones like this. And these are the ones that they recommend, I think, these 3 tree ones. They say they provide the best insulation. I want to try those out at some point as well. But I'm beginning with the foam ones because, like I said, they just seem the most forgiving to start with. But you do get a bunch of ear tips in there. You also get a really nice carrying case, which I think is very important because you want to protect these, and it looks really nice. I like the red as well. Inside the case, of course, you get the earplugs, but you also get a cleaning brush, which is great because obviously these things can get pretty gross. And you get a cord to tie them together around your neck like a lanyard. That's useful too. And you get, most importantly, the earplugs. And they're actually magnetic, so they will stick together. Look at that. It helps you look after them and not lose them, which I think is nice. And this is what they look like. There's the kind of membrane inside. And there's the foam that I'm using on the outside. And they look nice. They're black, they're inconspicuous. And they also have this lever. And this lever is how you go from 7 dB of attenuation all the way to, I think, 25. And anywhere in between. Now, I know what you may be thinking. You may be thinking it's hard to get that exactly where you want it. And I won't disagree. A step mechanism may be more accurate. But the way I'm using it is either completely open, so it's 7 dB, or completely closed for the most attenuation. I think it would be quite easy to put it kind of in the middle on each of them. But if you want to go anywhere in between, you might have to play with that to find that position. But that's not a deal breaker for me. That's absolutely fine. So they're very comfortable. I've been wearing them a lot to get used to them. My first thing to say is, as a musician, if you're going to start wearing earplugs or inner monitors or anything new as a musician, give it time and get used to it. I would recommend against going to the gig, taking these out of the pack, sticking some foam on there and putting them in. I would completely recommend you do not do that. I think if you get these, you should put them in and wear them around the house, fully open. and then fully closed, and then listen to some music. Record yourself playing your instrument. For example, as a singer, I find this quite daunting to sing with these in the first time. Or I did. And I actually didn't use them the first gig. I was too afraid of what might happen to my pitch, my intonation. I think the thing to do is to record yourself at home in a controlled environment. Make sure you're completely comfortable with that, and then use them on stage. That's my biggest tip here today. Give yourself time with these, and anything new that you purchase like this is going to be quite an adjustment. Of course, anything like this will be an adjustment to you. But I think they're great quality. I think they're well made. I think they're priced really well. The left and right is printed on here on the side. It's very clear to see. And I really like them. I really do like them. So what I noticed is you want to put them in right. Do read the manual, look at the pictures. I'll put some pictures on the screen throughout this video, but it's very important you get a good seal with these. If you don't put them in right and have a good seal, they're not going to do the job they're supposed to. And it's personally taken me a long time with in-ear monitors and earplugs and things to get used to that. So if you look at the picture on the website, you'll see how to put them in. And indeed, you put them in like that so that the kind of toggle is at the back of your ear. Like that. And then the lever is here. So you literally just take your hand. You see, you can barely see them, right? And you take your hand and you just slide it. And you'll really hear what's happening, how it's lowering the volume. It's really quite impressive. So initially, I think my expectations were really high for these because they say they attenuate the sound without losing the highs. Some people will just take some toilet paper or a napkin, or they get those foam plugs you can get from the pharmacy for like $1 each and just stick them in your ear, and it's to block out all the sound. I think my initial hope for these out of the box was that on this position at 25 decibels, I would hear nothing, absolutely nothing, because at the time there was some construction in our building. And I thought on the other side, maybe I would get that reduction and it's like I'm not wearing anything in my ear. But I quickly realized that's completely unrealistic. And the way I tested this is I got the foam earplugs, which are meant to be 30 or 35 decibels of reduction. I put those in and I could still hear sound. So it's impossible to block out all the sound around you unless you get like those industrial over the ear. Even they may not do it, right? So do keep expectations at a realistic place, because I didn't. And I was initially a bit disappointed, but of course that's not possible because even the bone in your ear is going to pick up some vibrations and some sound. But it certainly does reduce the sound a lot, as much as anything else that I've tried. Like I said, the foam ones that just plug your ears completely still have some sound coming through. And on the reverse side of that, when I was at my gig and I was using them, I was thinking, well, 7 dB is good, but I kind of wish I could just hear like I didn't have anything in my ears. Well, of course, that's not possible either, because if you could hear exactly the same without something in your ear as with it in, then that means you're not wearing it, right? It's never going to happen. So I did have some unrealistic expectations of these. My first thought was I really liked them. On stage, what happened was at the 7 dB level, I actually heard some things better than without them. Because what happens is some of these bands get so loud on stage that it just gets a mess, right? So I found with these in, I could hear certain frequencies better. On my guitar and vocals, which are most important to me as a guitarist and a singer, I could hear some frequencies coming through that I couldn't hear without them. And that was really cool. But like I said at the start of the video, I was a little bit shocked as well because I wasn't used to that kind of feeling of wearing the earplugs. I think it's something that I'll need to get used to over time. But I think it's really important that I do get used to it because that was a very loud stage and I want to protect my hearing. The other option, of course, is in-ear monitors, but the danger with those is you'll crank those up and your ears will be damaged anyway. So I think these are great. And the way I am going to use them, I think, is to have them fully closed when I'm at a concert or when there's construction around me, just to protect my ears. Or at a gig when the DJ comes on after the band plays and they've turned up really loud and I'm packing away my equipment, I'll put them on the maximum reduction just to protect my ears. Then when I'm playing on stage, I'll leave them fully open so I can hear more sound. Now over time, this may change. As I get used to wearing earplugs, maybe I'll raise that up to maybe halfway and maybe eventually all the way if I get used to them. I just think getting used to these is really important. But I love the fact that I haven't got to carry around 2 sets of earplugs. These can be either for stage level or flick it over for in the break when the DJ's playing. I think that's really clever. So whether you get these or any kind of earplugs, I do think it's important to look after your hearing. And this is something I wanted to talk about on the channel. Like I said, it was kind of a coincidence, but since that happened, I've actually been doing a lot of research into this and measuring levels as well. For example, there's charts out there on the internet telling you what the different volume of instruments is. I had no idea, but using a decibel meter on my iPhone, I've actually been measuring some levels, and it's quite scary when you do that. What I've come to realize is that even my acoustic guitar, right, this Rain song behind me is a GPC medium-sized guitar, right? It's not the biggest guitar out there. That is like 95 to 100 decibels when I'm strumming it really hard. So 100 decibels is actually, that's like a power tool. And you wouldn't use a power tool for 3 hours a day every day without hearing protection, would you? I then called my nephew that plays the saxophone because I remember that being really loud in his house. And I got him to do the same test, put the phone near his ear while he plays. He said it's 117 decibels. That is really loud and your ears cannot sustain that. So again, do you mute the saxophone by blocking the sound hole of that? Or do you wear earplugs? I don't know, but I think it's something we should be aware of. Now, a rock band or a 10-piece wedding band. So I didn't get a chance to measure the exact level of that band, but at the end, when just the horns were playing and the band leader was talking, it was well over 100 decibels. That's just with those instruments. Can you imagine drums, bass, monitors, 3 singers, electric guitar, bass guitar, violin, all at the same time at the end of the night? You got to be talking the level of almost maybe fireworks, and that's really harmful to your ears, especially over time. We can sustain loud volumes for a short period of time, but when you hear these kind of volumes for 3 or 4 hours at a gig, that's the scary thing. And that's really why I wanted to make this video. Personally, do I want to wear earplugs on stage? Not really, no. My ideal gig is to run the sound myself, have a quiet drummer, because obviously the drums set the level of the band. So if the drummer is quiet and I can mix the band and not need earplugs because I keep the level at say 80 decibels, well, that's great. That's my dream situation. But as musicians, we're often thrown into situations where we don't have control over the level. So obviously in those times, to have these in your gig bag is just going to be a lifesaver. Have them in your gig bag, put them in. Another tip actually is to put them in before you even start the gig, because what can happen is your ears can adjust. If you think about it, playing without these in and then putting them in, your ears don't really have a chance to adjust and they can get kind of shocked. So if you know you're playing in a 10-piece band, put these in before you even sound check, before you even set up your guitar. Have them in as you walk into the venue. Protect your hearing. You know, I was told about this topic years ago. I mostly play acoustic gigs, but even they can reach levels of 100 decibels, and my gigs can be 3 or 4 hours long. And then even in your break, people could be shouting in your ear. I don't think I have hearing loss. I need to get tested again. That's something else that you should do. The thing about hearing loss is it can happen any time and your ears never really recover from it. We can spend as much money as we want on guitars, microphones, cables, picks, and strings. But if you damage your hearing, then what's the point, right? What is the point? There's no point. So whatever you do, just think about this topic. I think it's really important. And please feel free to share your experiences in the comments below. How is your hearing? Do you wear earplugs? What are your thoughts on this? Have you got any stories that may help others? Have you tried any earplugs you'd like to recommend and suggest? I'm no expert on this. I haven't tried many, but I am really impressed with these ones. And these are now going to live in my gig bag at all times. And I'm going to use them more and more and more to get used to them. Like, I can't stress that enough. Do not try earplugs or in-ear monitors and just say it's not for me and give up the next day. Give these things a few months, and I think in the long term, you'll really benefit from it. So I'd like to thank Minuendo for sending these to me to talk about on the channel. I really appreciate it, and it couldn't have come at a better time, seriously. I hope to have them on here for a live stream Q&A so you can ask your questions to them directly. So if you want to watch that, please subscribe and ring the bell and you'll be notified of when that's happening. Or if it's already happened, it will be linked in the description below and you can watch the replay. Until next time, take care of those ears and everything else, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.